Good morning,
Hold
Gio.
on, Liz, are you with the video or you're not communicating something on me for me? You want us to go live
We are live.
or are
Ay,
you gonna put the video or no video?
ya lo puse.
Oh, it never went out. Liz. Nunca lo compartiste. All right, well, it's not TV.
It's
Good
live.
morning, Sorrel. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Today we have to the Leadership Huddle. Today we have a conversation that I'm really happy we're having, Sorrel. And this is about the this is about the power of comparison. You know, comparison can be the fuel of innovation, while at the same time, the killer of fulfillment. And this is a silent internal conversation that most of us deal with throughout our life. How we compare ourselves to who we used to be. We compare ourselves who we want to become, who we compare ourselves to the people we admire or our competitors or another team or someone else's relationship, like, they got the right relationship, or someone else's house. We compare our body, our income, our influence. Comparison is human. It's very human, and we go through it in every stage of our life. And it is safe to say that it is not going anywhere. So we should have a conversation about it because it's not like it's wrong. It's comparison gives us access to innovation and progress and the fire that some of us feel inside. While at the same time, it quietly steals our fulfillment. So that's what today's conversation is going to be about. If you are someone up to something, you wanna lean in a little bit and discover something powerful that leaves you with tools to reinvent yourself, to continue to go after what you want, while at the same time having an experience of being fulfilled, joy, and love, which is what this is all about anyway.
It's
So,
a
Ralph, good morning.
critical conversation, Joe. We promise that we bring unique leadership perspectives to everyday problems that everyday leaders and business owners deal with. And comparison is an everyday thing. So it's not like comparing comparing your things to others is going to go away. It's how do we actually deal with the fact that we compare? And how can we mine this innate human thing to actually enhance and create leadership in a way that we haven't before?
Yeah. So here are some of the pain points. Here are some of the things that we deal with, right? And we want to, allow ourselves to hear it for ourselves and see if you can relate, if it opens up something, and maybe it interrupts the hypnosis that we find ourselves every day and makes a difference, you know? As we were looking at earlier, comparison drives achievement. But it really does. So we don't want to make it wrong. It's easy for you to hear, I never compare myself, or comparison is wrong, or some diminishing notion about comparison. And we hear that a lot. But why do we hear it? Why do we hear that a lot? Well, we hear it because in the background, there is a dissatisfaction with oneself. Because someone's got it bigger, for sure. Someone makes more money, has a better results that one measures, right? And in an era of social media, well, certainly somebody has more followers. Their videos have way more likes, right? Someone has more influence or more status, and so it's easy to find power in comparing ourselves, but we want to discover something that's also always there, that with comparison, there is no winning.
Never.
There's no winning. And we want to see how uh I don't want to say vicious, but I do want to say how sneaky it is.
It is sneaky, Gio, because it happens in the smallest of things, right? It's like, I've always been short. I'm 5'5". I've gotten over it. But man, growing up, if anyone taller walked next to me, it was a big deal. I was comparing myself physically. So in business, in relationships, human beings do that all the time. And I think what you're pointing to is that the comparison itself causes my satisfaction to shrink, right? And it's how do I look at that and not let and not follow the human impulse that comparison generates. And that's critical. That's the first pain point. Comparison really, really impacts satisfaction because in that world, one's never satisfied.
Yeah, and what I want to say, Sorel, is that it is a shadow that accompany us in every stage of our life. As it's something I want to include in this conversation. It's a shadow, and so there's no power in making it wrong.
It's there all the time.
It's there all the time. That
Yeah.
like when I wake up in the morning and there's a little bit of light somewhere, I got a
There's
shadow. I got a shadow. So I'd like to have this conversation to open up that awareness rather than going into a fight with it. Like, let's look at the shadow that is always there and how the shadow triggers achievement and progress. And it's somewhat of having a conscious love relationship with the shadow.
Yeah, like
That
how do we
that's
use
one thing.
something that's always there?
Yeah, so that I don't find myself seeing my competition as danger. I don't find myself seeing myself behind as risk, right? So that I've noticed a lot. I've noticed it a lot in myself, and I've noticed it a lot in others, that there is a constant anxiety, right? There's a constant anxiety, and when we ask enough questions, then one could see, right, with our clients and with myself, that it has something to do with my shadow, with the comparison. But no one who's elegant will ever admit it.
Yeah, it's almost as if, Gio, given that the shadow's always there, I'm always comparing myself to someone. I'm always comparing my achievements to some other achievement, that there's this low or high level anxiety that's always there. And I spend a lot of time managing that. I spend a lot of time trying to get that to go away. And the energy that it takes to deal with the impact of comparison when I don't catch the impulse and don't follow it is enormous. So it leaves me living a life where I'm always proving myself to myself. I'm always competing, even when there's no competition. Or I'm always protecting my identity. And really, given that it's a shadow, Gio, I'm actually protecting my identity from myself. Because given that everyone has the same shadow, everyone else is busy doing the same thing. So that recognition is the beginning of the opening of the door to the trap that you're pointing to. And it's absolutely necessary to not just lead, because guess what? I can force my way through comparison. We've seen people do that. I can force myself to live with the tension, right? And yet I may achieve. but fulfillment is never mine in the world of comparison.
Yeah. So here's what I have found, Sorel, and I don't know how you manage it, and I'd love to hear how other people manage it without being elegant, without being too elegant to say I never compare myself. It's a shadow. It's like saying I never have a shadow, right? But here's how I've found that it is a healthy way to manage it. And it is an intentional way of managing it. It's not a natural way of managing it. So there is looking at who I was last year
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate the progress. There is looking at my progress at a particular area
Mm-hmm.
and then celebrate, because I'm comparing,
Yeah.
and then celebrate that so that my comparison builds growth without taking away my peace.
You know what I just heard, Gio, is that
Yeah.
there's a way that human beings normally, by default, use comparison as a way to build who they are. In other words, I'll compare myself, I'll compare my achievements, I'll compare my accomplishments. And if I measure up or come close, I'm using that as a way to build my self-worth. So there's comparison, what I would call like the dark side of the shadow, comparing myself so I can validate my worth. And then there's comparison, because who I am is someone who's committed to growth and development, someone who's committed to expansion. And guess what? To actually measure how far I'm coming on the path to growing consistently and deliberately, it's essential for me to compare the results I achieved yesterday to where I am now, so that I may plot a path to continue growing. But all that this comparison you're pointing to is informing is the path to growth as opposed to my worth. And that's
Yes.
critical. That
Yeah,
distinction
that's
is critical.
critical. So if I see my growth, right? If I see my growth, my maturity growth, or my business growth, or wherever I am, if I see where I have grown, then comparison elevates me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, well done.
Yeah.
But if I see someone else's growth, and then I go and I try to achieve that from a point of context of comparison, then it doesn't, I'm constantly fighting the shadow of unfulfillment.
Yeah.
I'm constantly fighting it. And this is what happened to most of us, pretending we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's a really annoying one. I mean, like,
worse than annoying. It's like not living at all. Right?
yes, because there is power in everything we do when we connect with the intention, right? And every leader connects with an intention, and every human being that's up to something connects with an intention of making a difference, an intention of providing value, an intention of providing service. And everyone I know, so everyone I work with, and this is another shadow. This is a beautiful shadow. Everyone who starts something connects with a purpose, with an intention for something to be fulfilled, and that's powerful. And it's critical to reconnect with the intention on a regular basis without comparison.
Yeah.
The example I heard once, and this was from Eckhart Tolle, and I really liked it. He talked about the power of a flower. He said, when a flower is blossoming, it's not competing with the other flowers to blossom faster and brighter and get the most attention. right? It doesn't compare its petals. It doesn't rush. It's just reveals its beauty at the stage that it is. And that is powerful, but not more powerful than. It's power itself. And when I heard that, I saw that in the context of being human, that our progress is like the flower blossoming. Our
Yeah.
progress in whatever area it is, whether it's in exercising, whether it's in eating better, whether it is in our relationship with our children, whether it's with our business, our progress is the flower blossoming. And it's not about rushing it. Wherever it is power itself. Wherever it is revealing something that's critical for the flower or for the one intention you're out there to fulfill. Now, at some point, the flower dies, right? The cycle. And then it gives opportunity for the next one. And that's power itself as well.
Yeah.
It's the eternal present. It allows for what's next.
Yeah. So the other thing I'm hearing in this, Gio, this is really beautiful, is that the flower, as the flower's blossoming, it has no, I can say, and I can get that, it has no knowledge of its future self. There's an unfolding that happens naturally, that even comparison to my future self impedes. It's like, oh my God, I'm not my future self yet. But no one has any clue about the future self. I can set goals, yeah. And in the context of what we created earlier, where I'm comparing my achievements based on what I've achieved in the past, that's healthy. But be like the flower, Gio. That's so poetic and so cool, right? To be like the flower, to be blossoming for the sake of blossoming, because that's what flowers do.
Yeah, and as human being, to be innovative for the
Yeah.
sake of being innovative, not being more innovative than,
Yeah.
right? To have progress for the sake of progress, for what it opens up or what's available for your employees, for your clients, for your processes, for legacy, but
Yeah.
not to be more, to have a greater legacy than your neighbor or a greater legacy than your parents, or
Yeah.
it's progress without attachment, progress with the intention to discover what it reveals.
Yeah. And you say the intention to discover what it reveals. The flower blossoms, the flower becomes its quote unquote future self. And funny enough, flowers don't have eyes. So they can't see their future self. So there is, this metaphor is really powerful here because it points to us, human beings, having the capacity to grow and blossom and flourish in such a way that when I take comparison and I treat it for what it is, a shadow, an innate human tendency that keeps me from living now, then I can blossom like the flower without seeing my own beauty. And by default, my own beauty being a gift, a revelation for the world. So that is possible with our companies. That is possible with our relationships. That is possible with our relationship with ourselves inside of our own growth and development, to grow and expand and to blossom and to flourish in such a way that neither my eyes nor my ears or my perception impacts or distorts what's happening. It's sort of this natural unfolding. And that's possible for companies. That's possible for teams. That's possible
For the self, right? For the
Yeah.
self of the leader. Yeah, I love that. So here's what I want to say, and maybe I'd love to hear from some of you who are joining us today and see, what are you hearing? What are your comments? What are your questions? Anything you say will be part of the blossoming, right? So
Absolutely.
here's what we want to say. Here's a takeaway. Comparison is not the enemy. I mean, really, it's not. Unconscious comparison could be. Using comparison as a measuring stick for systems, not a measuring stick for your soul. I always remember the flower. It blossoms, it reveals, and it doesn't compete for worth.
Now, Gio,
So, yeah, go ahead.
you know, I was going to say, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, right? Imagine a flower blossoming and then second guessing itself because it's comparing itself to another flower. And then it stops blossoming in the middle of the process. That never happens. And for human beings and companies, for leaders and companies, business owners, so many times we stop ourselves midway along the way. We stop the blossoming, and it's all out of comparison. So thank you.
Comparing who our worth, who we are.
Yeah.
Right? Our identity, rather than systems or processes.
Yeah.
Right? Because the shadow is not going anywhere, right?
Yeah. So, you know, it could land like this. Instead of asking, how do I measure up? Maybe the question is always, how fully am I revealing who I'm becoming, both to me and to the world?
I love it. I love it. So that was today's conversation. Anyone has any comments, questions? What are you getting for yourself? Yeah, buts.
Where are you in the blossoming process, and how is comparison thwarting it or not?
I'll go. Good
Come
morning.
on.
So, thank you so much. This is an excellent conversation, an excellent topic. But the first thing I want to do is that I would like to ask a question based on comparison. And that is, why do we compare ourselves in the first place? Is it human nature? Or is it that we compare ourselves because we are afraid we get left behind? Let's take, for example, the workplace. We may compare ourselves to other leaders in the workplace. We may not be as good as them. And we compare ourselves. And because of that, we may think that we are failing, we are falling behind. But the thing here is that we should only compare ourselves to who we were yesterday, not to anyone else, because we have to remember that we are all on a different life's journey. For example, Soral's journey is different from Gio's journey, and it's different from my journey. And we all have to walk our own path. And when we compare ourselves, it tends to bring us down, it tends to bring us sadness. For example, another good example is we may compare our car to someone else's car. We may compare our house to someone else's house. And if someone else's house is bigger than ours, then we are down in the dumps. We become sad and depressed. Someone else's car is more expensive or newer than us. We become sad and depressed. We want to be like them. But then if we try to be like the other person, then who's going to be us? Who's going to be me? Who's going to be Sorel? Who's going to be Gio? And comparison is something that we all do, including me, especially on social media. And because of that, it's something that we need to stop, right? For example, you may look at someone else's business and their business may be thriving. They may be making a lot more money than your business. And you may think, wow, I'm failing. My business is not doing well. But no. So I think the key takeaway here, one of the takeaways is that we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. The question is
it begins there, right?
Yeah.
And it also begins, thank you for sharing all of that, Fareed. You know, your perspective on the impact of comparison on my own self, you know, the sadness and the feeling smaller than that it brings is makes a world of a difference in terms of the quality of the life that I get to live. So you're pointing to that. And one of the things that we might have to consider is that given that comparison is a shadow, I may not be able to stop comparing myself to others or comparing my things to the things that other people own. And yet, in this moment, I may be someone who now, having heard this conversation, can claim to have the capacity to see comparison for what it is and to not follow the impulses that it generates. Because it does generate the kind of impulses that take me as a leader. It puts me in a position where I focus my attention on dealing with the survival and intensity that it brings. And I can now leave it where it is and move forward despite what may be there. So comparison is a shadow, and it can be a real trap unless we're aware of it. Thank you, Fareed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Anyone
thank
else?
you, Fareed. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
Coach Rashida.
Grand rising, everyone. Thank you so much. Very important point. And I say this because in the comparison, and when I started to listen to the topic, it took me back to when I was in FIT studying as a fashion designer. And the comparison that my classmate they was making with my workmanship my garment, the finishing and the comparison, it was just one of those things that I think it was more affected to them comparing to my finishing. And it's this morning, it's make me goes into also relationship. People wanted to know, oh, was similar to the person that you've dated before? That comparison is, for me, is a war without I would say, without gaining anything.
Mm.
So comparing yourself, comparing what you do in life, it's such a broad spectrum of the whole entire being of we knowing that who is the winner? At the end of the day, who is the winner? So this is where I really like the topic this morning because it make me went into myself. Who I compare myself with. I don't want to compare myself with anyone but myself. What is the benefit of comparing myself with myself? Is the satisfaction and the joy of knowing that I can do better. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashida. Thank you so much for looking and being in the inquiry in a profound way, right? So present to the inquiry. So, Ralph, thank you for being in this inquiry as well. Thank you all for being here. Thank you guys for connecting on YouTube, and continue to connect and invite and subscribe and get notifications and all that cool stuff. And in the meantime, have a phenomenal week. And there are 8 tenets to have a great and amazing and juicy and powerful and influential week. And the first one is love. Love yourself, love others, love those you have an opinion about, and find a way to bring love to whatever state of mind you find yourself. The second one is smile, stretch your cheeks, smile, right? This makes you sexy. It helps you with the wrinkles. It helps you with self-esteem. I mean, the whole thing happens when you smile and you laugh out loud. You burst out laughing. Do it like Julia Roberts. Eat more plant-based. Get closer to the trees. Hug the trees. Eat the trees. And avoid at all costs processed food. You can do it. It really takes something, but you can do it. It's terrible. It really is. Move every day in the morning, 10 minutes. Right after you get up, after lunch, 10 minutes, and right before you go to bed, another 10 minutes, or right up before dinner or after dinner. Move 10 minutes every day. Give away. Give your jealousy away, your resentment away. Give. Sleep 7 hours at least. This also makes you sexy and creative and everything else you want. And if you can't sleep, don't drink a pill. Read a book.
Read a book.
Your brain will say, I don't like reading, and you will go to sleep. Read a book. And final but not least, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I love you. Sorrel loves you more. We'll see you next Monday. Stay safe.
Until then.